Right, hello, and welcome to part 17 of the Austin 7 special build. So there it is in the background. I've had a couple of weeks off from the show. Now I'm ready to crack on and get the Austin 7 done. I'm going to be working on the bonnet in this episode. It may be a two-part episode because, like everything else on the car, I've overcomplicated it, and yeah, I don't know if I'm going to squeeze it in one episode, so we'll see how it goes. I'll talk you through the process and the idea that I've got, and hopefully you like it, and stick along for the journey. Okay, so this is the aperture that we've got to fill. The bonnet I'm going to make is going to be one piece, so no hinge down the middle like a traditional bonnet. This is all going to lift off in one. It'll locate at the front, and then it'll have buckles either side. That's the theory behind it at the moment. I am going to have to make this in two parts because the amount of louvers I want going up both sides, I just can't get in the fly press at work. So I'm going to have to make each side separately. Once I'm happy, I'll weld up through the middle. But again, there'll be joins like this, so you won't see the join in the bonnet. I think that's the best way I can go about it at the moment with the equipment that I've got to hand. It's not flat going up through there. Hopefully you can see that. So we can't just bend that over a bit of tube. We're going to have to wheel that and add a nice bit of shape to it, then flows with the rest of the car, because if you stick a flat panel on there now, it's going to look out of place. But I'll talk you through that design as we get to it. Right, okay, so that is all marked out there. Just move back so you can see it. What I've done is leave about 20mm around there. Now what I'm going to do is cut it out, and then we're ready for wheeling. So what I'm going to do to start this process off is just use a rubber band on the wheel. That allows me to form the curvature in the bonnet in one direction. I don't want there to be any crown at this precise moment, so this just allows me to control the panel, do it in stages, and just gradually tip that edge over. The scuttle panel and the radiator panel there are two different curvatures, so this is why in a roller or rolling it over something which is the same cylindrical shape all the way through, it's not going to get the desired effect because one is more than the other, or one radius is tighter than the other. So this way I just get to tweak it as I go along. So now the rubber band's removed, this is going to allow me to add a bit of crown and curvature to the bonnet. Again, doing it in stages, just gradually adding the shape until it suits. Right, so hopefully this gives you an idea of what I'm trying to achieve. So just holding a straight edge there, hopefully you can see me rocking that. I've used my set of sweeps on this, and it does change going through the bonnet. Now if I was just to roll that over a set of rollers, I'd be completely flat through there, and it wouldn't look right with the body. So just by adding that little bit of crown throughout that radius really does sort of change the shape of what we're trying to achieve. So it's very subtle, then it just gets a bit more prominent throughout, then blends in to the bottom. Right, okay, so now I've got the desired shape into that panel. I don't know if it's going to come up, so I've got nothing to reference it to, just showing you like that. But what has happened is that's created a hollow in the top of this bonnet section here. So what I now need to do is wheel this up, being really careful that I don't put too much shape into there, and not touching any of the edges, because that's just going to allow the panel to move all over the place, and that's the last thing I want. So I'm going to wheel very gently, just raising this up so it's not hollow. I don't know if that's coming across on the screen there, but when I louver that, that will hopefully be a really nice finish throughout there, because what we don't want is a load of shape in the side here and then a hollow when I weld it down the middle. It's going to look awful. So we're trying to preempt problems that we're going to have before we've even got to that stage and it's too late to do anything. So a little bit of wheeling. So every now and then what I'm going to do is basically just keep checking that. It's so much harder to get the shape out once it's in. So as long as we keep an eye and just increase it, we can always just increase the pressure ever so slightly. We can always just go over a few more times if we want to raise it up a bit more. But once it gets past a certain point, we've kind of had it. So got to be very careful on this. Right then, paint pot time. Douglas, Bryn and Bob, a huge thank you for your generosity from the last video. It is really appreciated. So thanks guys for going over to the paint pot. This is going to be the last paint pot opportunity before I reveal the colour and do the draw. So I've got wedding masks, slappers, t-shirts and stickers to give away. So everyone that's entered there is obviously entered in for the draw. Now's your last opportunity. If you want to make a small donation to the channel, everything raised is going to go towards the paint pot. There is a little bit of space on the board, so this will be the last one before I do the draw in the next video. And I've got a panel just down here. Hopefully it's not in view. And that is going to show you the colour that the car's going to be. So very exciting times. So one thing I forgot to mention earlier on in the video is I've opted to use 2mm for this bonnet. It seems a bit odd, but actually in period, Rolls-Royce and Bugatti bonnets, Bentley bonnets, everything of that period would have been made out of 2mm. I just recently made a set of bonnets for Bugatti and they were 2mm. So I thought this is what I'm going to make mine out of. I didn't have to. I just could have put a nice sort of safety edge or a return lip on a piece of 1.5 and that would have been ample, but I wanted to copy the cars of the period and that's why I chose 2mm. Right, on to the next stage. What I need to do is trim some of this material around the edge there. My final gap will be around 5mm. It sounds a lot, but actually this body is going to flex and move like they do.
So you've got to give yourself a bit more of a gap than you would do on like a modern car or a 60s car, which are a lot more rigid. So you've got to allow for that. And actually, you won't notice it, and it'll look nice once it's all painted. So a nice 5mm gap, but we'll do that at the end. What I now need to do is just trim it so the bonnet sits better in that aperture there. Once I'm happy with it, I'll then trim down the center line, offer that up to the next piece, mark that center line on the next piece, and then hopefully the two bonnets then should marry in the middle, and then I can then accurately mark the louvers for the next process. So it's like a giant game of chess. You've got to do this in stages to get everything right, but hopefully if I haven't missed anything out, it should go to plan.
So what I'm now doing is trying to mark out the louver pattern and positioning of the louvers. This has taken me hours to try and figure out. I've tried so many different orientations and placements of them. You've got to be really precise when you're doing this, and this is why it's taken the time. Obviously, it's just a few seconds on a clip, but I'm probably about 4 hours actually into louver placement just on the bonnet alone. Okay, so I'm gonna call that an end to this episode. I think there's a lot of information in one part of the video there to try and take in. In the next episode, I'll get the louvers stamped out. I'll trim the bonnet down to its final position. I'll get this welded up and cleaned, and that'll be the whole bonnet finished. What I am thinking about doing is making an inner structure as well, which would just hold that bonnet shape nicely. Maybe one at the front and possibly one at the back, but we'll see how that goes. I've got to look at fixings. I'd like a buckle here, but with the exhaust running down there, that may be an issue, so it's something I need to address later on down the line. But that is pretty much it for this episode. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. Last chance for the paint pot. If you want to enter that, some good prizes to give away. That'll be drawn in the next episode too, so hopefully that's going to be a pretty good episode to create and do for you. And yeah, if you want to see any behind the scenes bits, go over to the Instagram. I'm always posting stuff up there, and that's pretty much it. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.